Good evening, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, April weekend, wherever you are in the world. Hopefully, it was relaxing after the gong show of last week with FOM's, or I'm sorry, non-farm numbers coming out. And we're back to a new trading week here for April 9th to the 13th. Friday the 13th. Hopefully, none of you are superstitious. Should be a good week of trading. We've got a lot of range that we had covered, and I believe we still have a lot of range left to go for a number of pairs here. So I'm going to dive into it. I'm not going to be too long today. I'd like to keep this under about 15 minutes and just kind of give you a general overview of where I believe the market's going to be heading for next week. And I'm going to start off with the US dollar. So you can see again, nothing much new here. We've been trading in a very tight consolidation on the U.S. dollar since January of this year, and failed to really go any higher or any lower. This last sort of run down right here, everyone was thinking that it was finally going to start running down and hitting some of the targets down in here that I had projected. The old highs back in here from this small consolidation range would be the target. Looking at a symmetrical price swing as well too. Number of factors and a number of areas lower that I believe price could start hitting, but we haven't done anything. It's just been chopping sideways and not a whole lot of excitement so far on the US dollar. However, with that being said, if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to bring up the news on the week so we can see if there's any major news events that we have to worry about, because that's always trading. Number one is start with the fundamentals. Find out what news drivers there are for the week, and then base your trading off of that. And if there's any major news like non-farm payrolls or FOMC numbers or anything like that, you typically don't want to be trading in those conditions. So I'm just going to pull up Forex Factory here quickly and run through. Looks like Monday's a pretty slow day. A little bit of news in the loonie with the Canadian dollar. The BOC Business Outlook Survey probably won't do a whole lot to it. Tuesday pretty quiet. Some PPI numbers for the U.S. dollar. Wednesday we start to get into some Aussie news, a little bit of pound sterling news here, and then later on, early morning, just before New York Open, we've got Draghi speaking, so that could push price around a little bit on Wednesday, and then some pretty decent news drivers here for for Wednesday for the U.S. dollar. So Wednesday will probably be a very good day of trading. A lot of volatility, a lot of price movement, I would imagine. So we should see some good action on on Wednesday. April 11th. Crude oil inventories, of course, every Wednesday that it lands on, so we'll watch for that. And then now we've got a late in the day FOMC meeting minutes as well too. So Wednesday is going to be a bit of an interesting day. It might be a little bit slow to start off with, but just keep in mind that the typical trading day usually closes around 12 o'clock to 12:30 New York time, typically when the bulk of the move on the day is completed. This news item right here at 2 o'clock, it could extend that session a little bit, so just be aware of that we could get a late in the day trading range happening and could see further expansion for a little bit longer. So just keep that in mind on Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, pretty uneventful news-wise. A little bit of euro and a little bit of pound sterling news with Governor Carney speaking there on Thursday, and that's about the trading week. So bulk of the trading, we'll probably see a couple of good setups happening Monday, Tuesday, and then we'll probably see a lot of the movement. Wednesday will probably be moving day, where we're going to see a lot of volatility happening, and then I'll probably die off a little bit Thursday and Friday. So with that being said, let's jump into it a bit. Again, talking about the US dollar, hasn't broken higher, hasn't broken lower, still sitting in the middle of the range. Now, on this range, last week we had a nice drop. Price failed to took out a couple of highs in here, definitely ran some stops, ran the highs of the body of this candle right here at 90.10, and has since dropped. And there's a couple of levels that I'm looking at. So I believe we could see price of the US dollar run higher, and I'd actually like to see this high right here get taken out. Let me drop these day dividers off so you can see. On my feed here, the high on this comes in at 90.85, thereabouts. Very good chance that a lot of other people's feeds price may not be going this high. I've seen a lot of other broker feeds that actually just sort of tag in at the same high in here. which comes in at 90.75. So a couple of discrepancies there, but whatever the case may be, wherever this candle sits, I believe there still is a ton of liquidity sitting above these highs right here that we could see price of US dollar continue to push higher and wanting to grab. Now, before it gets there, it may need to drop lower. I don't know. It's so far the past 2, 4, 6 days, a week basically straight. We had a nice bullish projectile candle off of some news a couple weeks ago, and since then price has just been chopping sideways. And I thought NFP last week, which was this big down candle here, would have driven the price out of this range a little bit more aggressively, but it just fell right back into it, and it's just a little bit above the 50% range of this whole consolidation level here. So with that being said, I've stated before several times that I believe, just due to numerous economic circumstances and with the dollar, they could want to squeeze this up here and grab some of the liquidity here. Ultimately, I would like to see them drive it lower and hit some of these areas down here that I had mentioned. But we're just going to have to wait and see. It's still in the consolidation level area, and we have to trade accordingly. So short term, I would like them to come down and grab some of these levels in here. They haven't done a stop run. This was a very, very shallow one on Friday that they had done here. Took a couple stops under here, and since has been trading softer in Sunday's trading. But ultimately, I would like to see them roll over, take this out eventually, and then jam it higher. We'll have to wait and see. Whichever way they start breaking up will give us an idea as to how the week will finish, because we'll expect the Monday and Tuesday of the week to be the false move, either lower or higher, and then the actual projection and target of the market will come to realization a little bit later on the week. Now, again, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, don't know yet how the trading week is going to transpire, but there's a level down here, and I'll just mark out some levels here for you, just so you can kind of get it. I wouldn't mind see if they had any willingness to come down to this 89.45 level. If they do, you can expect them to sweep the stops down into these old consolidation highs in here, which come in at 89.20, even 89.25, in and about right around there. Now, I've got this 90.10 here on this level to kind of show you. This is just sort of the small consolidation range in here. If price pushes up to here and fails, it does not want to go higher than this small little consolidation area right in here, then I would expect lower prices for the week. So that's sort of what could happen. So this is sort of option one. Price pops up, stalls at 90.10, and then drops. And then I'll be looking for this move to capture this move in foreign currencies, obviously, by taking the opposite position. So that's what we could see happen early on in the week. So far, it doesn't look like price wants to do anything. It's just sort of putting in some wicks right here. It could fall out lower right away. I don't know. But that's what I'd be looking at. If price goes higher and closes higher, this is the big thing. If it closes higher than 90.10 and gets above these candles in here, very, very good chance that we could be moving higher. And again, these targets and these highs in here are ultimately where I'd be gunning for. But they took a lot of liquidity out of the market, a lot of stops above these guys in here. So good chance they could want to run it lower before they do jam it higher if they decide to run it higher. So just keep that in mind. That's sort of what I'm looking at. Doesn't have to come out, but definitely these lows here, I'd love to see them tag off. But if this 90.10 level, and once price gets down here, if it does come down, then we'll reassess. I wouldn't expect it to go any lower than these ranges in here, just because of this big, strong movement we've had out of here. But again, we are in a consolidation, and really price could easily just come right back down to the mean, to the middle of this consolidation area. So we'll just have to watch that, but that's sort of what I'm anticipating on the week. Now, if we go over to the euro quickly, same type of idea, big consolidation level in here. I'm really expecting this to drop out in a big way. I would like to see that push higher in the US dollar, and then that would drop the euro dollar into this little area that I have down in here, which I'm expecting to be a sort of a buy level. Anything below this candle low right in here would be kind of what I'd be looking at for a target. Now, I'm hoping it does come to fruition, and that comes in about 21.45, the low of this candle. Give or take, it's not at the exact level, but you kind of get what I'm driving at here. I'd like to see a tag off of here, and you'd heard me say this before. I'd like it to eventually start running higher from there. We'll have to wait and see if the U.S. dollar just starts running for those old highs above the market from its current location. Then we will see that nice drop in here. But if the U.S. dollar decides to drop lower first before it runs higher, then we will see the euro start to move north a bit. So if I drop this down a little bit, there is an area above that I was sort of hoping they would have taken during the news, the NFP news last Friday. They didn't do that. They kind of ripped it down once, took the stops, and then I shouldn't say slowly, took the price aggressively higher. But it failed in here so far. So, it's not really telling me a whole bunch. I don't really like the euro. There's not much that I'd like to talk about on it right now, just because, again, we're still in this overall consolidation. We're at the low end of the consolidation. So if you are a consolidation breakout trader, sorry, not a breakout trader, but a consolidation trader, this would be the area that you would be getting long in. Okay, every time price comes down to the low end of the consolidation, you buy it in the anticipation of price running back to the middle of the consolidation. And if it gets higher, great, you cash out up here. Same in reverse. If price starts to run higher into the consolidation area, you would sell into that with the expectation that it's going to continue in that consolidation period. So that's really all there is, to talk about the euro, in my opinion, right now. When it starts making a clearly defined move, i.e., starts to get down here, then we can discuss it a little bit more. But right now, it's it's almost right in the middle of last week's range. So this was Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. This was Monday's high. For argument's sake, that was the low there. Look where we're at. We're pretty much right at the 50% level of this entire week from last week. So, I mean, it's still sort of up and down where it could go. I don't want to call out a direction on this yet, other than I do like this area up here that they have left a bit of an area up here that they, I believe will be on a draw on price, and there is an area below that I had discussed here that I really want them to come down. I've been looking for them to come down for a little bit of time now. So if we get a push in the U.S. dollar, it should drop price down in here. But if the U.S. dollar does retrace back down to this level here that I was talking about, then I would expect the Euro USD to push higher up into this small consolidation range up in here. And there is a lot of stops up here as well too. You got to look at this move down. They haven't come to get any stops. They had one small little stop run. Let me just bring this in a little bit. They had one stop run right here. You see how they chopped price sideways and then they ran price up. They took all the liquidity up and then dropped it, and since haven't really come back for any. So anybody who was short up in here, all they've been doing is jamming their stop all the way down. A lot of liquidity resting above there, so we'll see if they want to come back up and reach for that into this week. Pound dollar, it's the same type of idea. I'm just going to refer to the Euro GBP quickly. It has shown some weakness in the Euro GBP. So you can see here, Euro GBP, it made a false rally up in here, bounced off of the lows of this consolidation range, and then has failed so far. So if we see continued downside momentum on the Euro Pound, I would expect Pound dollar to go higher, okay? You see how that works? If the Euro GBP is going lower, that will give strength to the Pound. And especially if we see weakness in the U.S. dollar coming down into here, this will really propel the pound dollar higher. So we'll have to wait and see. However, technically speaking, on a chart wise, this would be a very good area for a reaction to ensue and price to resume lower. You see how they ran it up, failed, came up one more time, came back into the small consolidation area, and then dropped it, and then just chopped price, dropped it lower, came back one more time up. If they are going to go higher, price will have to convincingly break above 141.30, even 141.50. See this small consolidation range in here? If price breaks higher than that, and I can even bring this up into here, but basically you can kind of see what I'm driving at. Somewhere right up in this range here. If price wants to break any higher than 141.60, I kind of like that level. If I can get it here on the chart. If price goes higher than this right here, then I would expect them to start running for these highs up here and then we could eventually start to take out this. So that would be a failure swing that has now come back down, retraced, and then I was pushing higher. So we'll see how that goes. Again, same type of thing as the euro. It's just kind of sitting right in the middle, high end of that range, that big consolidation range from last week. And this was in anticipation of non-farm numbers on Friday. You can see what they had done. They're just building up positions, dropped it, took all the stops below here. And I was calling all week long. You can go back to the recording I did from last week. From last Sunday, and I said they will come down and drive down and take the stops out of here aggressively. They did that. I was hoping they were going to do it earlier on in the week, but you can see here they dipped it once down on last Thursday. They failed, ran it higher, and created two equal highs right there, and then non-farm hit it, and then they took. I'm sorry. This was Thursday of last week. They took the lows Thursday of last week, and then Friday they jammed it back up. That was off a day there. Sorry, guys. So, and now we're just sitting sideways. So, same type of idea as the euro, though. There is a small pocket of liquidity up here that I believe they could be reaching for. And I'll want to see if price has any willingness to go above 41.30. Now, again, if Euro GBP, if we still see continued downward momentum on that and they start gunning for this low right here, then we will see this push up higher. It'll be a guarantee. But I do like this coming in lower. You see this small consolidation level here. I wouldn't mind to see price come back down and retest these old highs down in here, and potentially see any reaction ensue from there. So we'll be watching that level going forward, but nothing on the pound dollar that I see yet. It's just chopping right now with this 140 big figure level right now, and it might even spend a little bit of time there. You can see how much time they're spending right at that 140 level. So I'm gonna try and wrap this up here quick, guys, because I know we're might be running over time. But here's the 141 level, almost. This blue line here. Close enough. You can see how much time they've spent at that level here, working that level. They ran through it here, came back, tested, came back down, dropped through, back up, down. I mean, they've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, like over the past quarter, they've worked that 141 level about a dozen or more times. And so it's a very, very significant level. So don't be surprised, again, if they pop price up through here again. I mean, look how many times we've tested that just in this past little range right here. So expect that to be a major level. If they want to just poke their heads through it, run up, close this little area of liquidity in here, grab the stops, and then jam it down. That could be something else that comes to fruition as well, too. So something like this. But I would be looking, if price gets up to this level here, if they have any willingness to go through this 141.30 level. If they do, then this will be the target up here. And if they get through that and close through it, then again, like I say, these equal highs up there, that'll be the next target. So we'll watch for that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they came down and dropped it down first. So we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. I'll talk just real briefly about the US CAD, because there could be a good opportunity on that coming up. You see how price has left this consolidation area here. They came back down, rammed it up once. There is a good possibility that they may test these lows one more time. And if we do see weakness, some strength in the dollar, if the dollar does rally up early in the week to tag out this 90.10 level, then that may be the catalyst, that we see the U.S. dollar doing the same thing, doing a brief rally and then a short ensuing. And I believe these would be some very conservative targets going forward on the week. And I'll just put a couple of lines on these here. Price levels on these here, 126, and then ultimately down here at 124. Those would be the targets that I'm looking for long term. I believe we've seen a bit of a crack in the move for the CAD, and especially if we start to see weaker prices in the US dollar longer term, then this would definitely start to drive this back down. So we'll have to wait and see, but I do definitely like, now just keep this in mind, there's sort of two areas. There's this area right here that I'd be expecting a bounce to happen, and that comes in at 128.60. However, if it goes through 128.60, watch these highs right here at 129.40, and then this one right here at 1.300. I believe that could be a very, very significant level that they may want to come back up. They did a real brief stop run right here. took the liquidity and then dropped it. There may be some more resting above these highs up in here, but just keep in mind, you just got to watch the candles, and it's not too far away. It's only about 140 pips from this level here, so they may want to get that and expand up to that range. So just keep that in mind. But I am anticipating lower prices on the US CAD going forward. So just keep that on your radar. Keep this level right here, 128.60, and then keep this level right here, 129.40 on your charts, and watch what price does at those levels. If you see any willingness to drop, then I would suggest getting into a short position and taking it and riding that one out. So we'll watch for that. Real quickly, and I'm going to wrap this up. Crude oil on the long-term daily, we still the same type of idea, sort of trapped in a bit of a consolidation range. Price has really been breaking down, though it failed to take these highs here. Price has really been breaking down quite aggressively for the past couple of weeks. So I honestly, there's a small level right in here. Do you see how how they came in and took these lows down in here and then rallied off of that? I want to say I'm bullish on crude oil, and my mind wouldn't be changed unless they took these lows out and then we wanted to see a continuation down lower. If they take out these lows here, then we could potentially be coming down on crude oil down to this level, this little high rate in here at about $53 a barrel. If this low gets broken, we'll be turning our into a bearish outlook short term for oil. But I really am bullish on oil. I just think they had a nice run right here. The most logical thing to do, because everybody's got their stops right here, right now, in terms of large funds. I think they're going to drop down and take these out. And I just, this level right in here, for whatever reason, I could be very, very wrong. And this could be the low that it put in last Friday, and price could just rally up from here. But I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of selling pressure on it right now, and I would actually be interested to see on a daily for price to come back up to this level here and then see some type of rejection. Now, again, I'm not looking for crude oil to reject and go down to below those lows that I was talking about, under here. But I would be looking for them to just sweep these lows here and tag off this small consolidation range, and then I would want to see a bounce higher. It would make sense to me that they would want to do that again because there is a lot of liquidity sitting down here. I would consider these as equal lows. We had one candle down here that kind of pushed through, but then two previous attempts that ensued to take the liquidity, they failed, pushed it up, so there's a ton of stops sitting under here. That would be, in my opinion, the most logical area to head. So early in the week, we could pop up. Watch this level, watch 62.80. If that has any willingness to break, then this idea is null and void. But this is kind of what I'm expecting to happen going on crude oil. So just a small rally, a drop, decline, sweep these, and then a continuation higher. So we'll watch for that to happen. Just kind of running down on a lower time frame. That level that I had talked to you about at 62.80, that's just the lows of this consolidation level in here. So I will be watching for some reaction to happen in here. And you can see last week, actually, on Friday, I was watching this trade. I didn't take the trade because it's non-farm, and I don't trade on my non-farm. And I was going to send out a couple of charts. I can't remember. Maybe I did. But this was Thursday's trading, which was nothing. Wednesday's trading, which was nothing. It just basically just finished the same level that it opened. Consolidation day on Thursday, and then it started out doing basically the exact same thing, absolutely nothing. And I identified if price wants to go higher, it's going to close above this candle right here. And look what it did. It came up and just touched just the middle of this range right here. Complete rejection. And then you see, I mean, it was a $2 drop on crude oil. Just a beautiful move downwards. So that's what I'm going to be expecting going into this week as well. I'd like to see them slowly chop price up to here for Monday's trading, and then potentially Tuesday creating the high of the week and then dropping it again. And like I was saying to you, these lows under here are where I'm targeting. So I will let you know if that comes to fruition or not. And that's the trading outlook for the week of April 9th to the 13th. I hope we have a great week. There could be a lot of tips out there to grab, so we're going to be on top of this. Like I say, US dollar, euro, pound dollar, US CAD, crude oil. I mean, there's a ton of trades out there right now. We'll have a couple more video analysis for you as well too tomorrow. Once trading sort of gets going, then we'll kind of give you a end of week outlook of what we're expecting, and hopefully give you some bias, and we'll go from there. So thanks very much for hanging on with me for this long. I know I'm a little bit overtime as I usually am. So I hope you all have a great week of trading, and we'll catch up to you soon.